You're 16. You remember that because your mother whispered it while fastening the last button on your wedding dress, as if it were a spell to protect you from what comes next. The room smells of mildew and rosemary. A single beeswax candle flickers from the table. Your hands tremble in your lap, fingers still stained from the herbs the midwife rubbed into your thighs. Outside, bells toll. But they don't toll for you. They toll for the dead. The plague arrived last week, but death has already visited your house, not with fever, but with a bridal veil. The door behind you shuts. The lock clicks. You are now a wife, and you are very much alone. Before we descend into the shadows of medieval intimacy, a quiet request. These stories take a lot of time, effort, blood, and more than a little money to bring to life. If you find meaning in the dark and forgotten past, consider subscribing. Help me reach my first 1,000 and keep this archive from turning to dust. Chapter 1. Blood and Linen. They told you the wedding was a covenant, a holy bond sanctified in the eyes of God and men, but they never said who signed it. Not you. Your hand was never asked to hold the pen. The ink was mixed by fathers, yours and his, with bread, sheep, and wine. A transaction, a dowry dressed as devotion. And now your signature will be written in blood, on linen, to be inspected like a ledger at dawn. You sit on the edge of the marriage bed, a stranger in lace. The fabric itches at your wrists. You don't know how to breathe, only how to hold it. Your knees are pressed together, hard enough to bruise. Your fingers are white around the candle stub you were told to keep lit until he enters. He enters. He doesn't knock. He smells of sweat, leather, and wine. He is taller than you remembered from the ceremony, or perhaps your memory shrank him, the way a child shrinks monsters behind closed doors. You've never heard him laugh. You've never heard him pray. You've never heard him say your name. He doesn't now. He lifts your shift, not gently. The mattress groans under his weight and the candle sputters in protest beside you. His hands are rough, not from toil, but from never needing to be soft. You close your eyes, not out of modesty, but because it's the only thing left you can control. You pray. To the saints you learned of in stories, to the ones painted on the church walls, to the ones with hollow eyes and cracked halos. And when those fail, you whisper the forgotten names your grandmother murmured by the hearth. Old gods, forest spirits, the ones your priest called demons. You're not picky tonight. You pray for blood, because if there is none, they will not blame him. They will say your body is cursed, that your honor was already spent, that your maidenhead was a lie, spun of vanity. Because if the sheets are clean, you'll be the one declared dirty. When it's over, he doesn't speak. He rolls to the side, sleeps like a stone dropped into still water. You lie awake, eyes open, knees burning. You do not cry. You do not dare. The candle dies long before dawn. You do not move. And then, morning. You are told to remain where you are. The door creaks open. Sandals shuffle against the stone floor. Women gather. Old, stern, familiar. One of them is your aunt. Another helped birth you. Their eyes have seen every kind of blood. Except this one matters most. They do not ask how you are. They do not meet your gaze. They lift the linen. Their faces do not smile. One woman mutters something about vinegar. Another prepares salt water. A third reaches for your thigh with a cloth soaked in boiling water. They whisper, not about you, around you. This is your second wedding night. There are no hymns, no incense, no wine. Just the metallic sting of a pin and the unbearable silence that follows. You wince as the needle slips into your skin. Your breath hitches, but no one flinches. You watch the red bead swell. It hangs on the edge of your thigh, trembling like a secret. You press the cloth against it, slowly, carefully. Let the crimson soak. Let the lie become truth. They smile this time. Their relief is quiet, practiced, like the satisfaction of a debt paid. Your mother cries, quietly. She hides it well, but not from you. You hear it in her throat, not a sob, but a choke, a mixture of sorrow and success. You're not sure if it's relief or regret. The priest arrives just after noon. He blesses the union, hands damp with incense and dust. The women whisper your success like it's a shared inheritance. But beneath it all, beneath the blessings, the whispers, the folded cloth stained with proof, you feel the wound between your legs pulse. Not from pain, from survival. You have been marked, not as wife, not as woman, but as acceptable. For now, Chapter 2, a body borrowed. They call it your home now, but nothing in this house belongs to you. Not the walls, not the bed, not the man who calls himself your husband. Even the air feels leased, perfumed with smoke, damp with the breath of people who do not see you. You move like a guest. No, like furniture, quiet, useful, unremarkable. The other women of the household, his mother, his sisters, the wet nurse who never leaves, watch you with narrowed eyes and half-turned faces, as if marriage made you invasive, as if your very presence peeled paint from the walls. You are 16. They are already old, not in years, but in judgment. Each word you speak is measured. Each silence is louder. You learn to fold your hands properly when entering a room, to lower your eyes when passing elders, to nod, not speak, to smile, not laugh. You learn that joy is suspicious, and modesty is a performance that must never end. Your name is used rarely and never kindly. Mostly, you are she, or the girl, or the wife. Even your body is no longer yours. You were told that on the wedding night, but now it's clearer, more constant. You are a vessel, a sacred one, they say, but only if you fill it properly. Your meals are monitored. They insist on broth and soft bread. When you bleed each month, they take notice. When you don't, they whisper louder. And when you're too quiet, someone always suspects a secret. They press hands to your belly as if it were soil and they were checking for seed. You dream of escape, but not in any real way, just small things. The back door open to the fields, the sky stretched wide like an apology, a tree you could climb without someone pulling your skirt down and scolding you. You once mention a book, a story your grandmother told you, a tale of a queen who ran from her crown and lived among deer. His sister laughs. Books are dangerous, she says. They teach girls to be alone. You nod, you smile, and you burn the memory of that story into your ribs. When your husband visits you now, it is without ceremony. He does not ask. He does not wait. Sometimes you pretend to be asleep. Sometimes you leave your body behind. Not literally, but close enough. You float somewhere above, in the rafters, near the candle soot. You watch from there, detached, dissociated, dreamless. You know the routine. You don't flinch anymore. That would only draw more time. He finishes quickly. Most nights, he doesn't even stay until sleep. He leaves smelling like sweat and wine, same as always. You lie still, watching the ceiling beams, counting spiders, praying they don't fall. You try to remember what your mother told you before the wedding. Be good. Be still. Don't anger him. But she never told you how to disappear. So you learn on your own. You become a shape beneath a veil, a whisper in a corridor, a girl with no appetite for noise. Sometimes, when no one is around, you stand before the basin and look at your reflection in the water. It doesn't ripple unless you breathe. You realize, with quiet horror, that the girl looking back at you isn't someone you recognize anymore. You touch your cheek, your fingers are cold. Even your skin feels borrowed. Chapter 3, The Quickening. They say you're glowing. You smile when they say it, because that's what they want. Because when your belly begins to swell, people finally start smiling back. For the first time since your wedding, you're not invisible. You're important now, not as Margot. No one uses your name, but as a womb, a hope, a possibility of sons, and still, you've never felt so empty. The child inside you is called he, before he has fingers, before he has breath, before you've even felt the first flutter. They call it the quickening, when the baby first stirs inside you. You feel it one night as you're lying alone, palms resting on your stomach like offerings. A faint tremor, like a fish turning in a deep pond. Strange, foreign, not frightening, but not yours either. You press your hand harder, trying to feel it again. Nothing. You wait. A minute passes. 2. Then another shift, so bombarding, a bread thump, so small it could be your imagination. But the priest said this was the soul entering the body. That movement means the child has been claimed by God, by fate, by the bloodline of your husband. No one asked if you claimed it too. You're fed better now, thicker soups, richer meat. They let you sleep longer. But you don't feel rested. Your back aches, your ankles swell. The skin on your belly stretches like parchment, thin, shiny, veined like old marble. You bleed from your gums when you brush. Your breasts ache with a heat that feels unnatural. Your moods change faster than weather. When you cry, they say it's the baby's fault. When you speak too sharply, they say boys don't like angry mothers. When you laugh too loud, they frown. You learn to be soft, silent, sweet. Again, you don't recognize your body anymore. It is no longer yours. It moves without you. It hungers when you don't. It sleeps when you can't. It dreams of things that never belong to your mind. Sometimes you wake up and your shift is soaked, not with blood, not yet, but with milk. Premature, strange, warm. You whisper apologies to the child inside you. I'm sorry you have to come here. One night, you wake with a sharp pain. Too soon. You clutch your side, breath ragged, nails digging into your thigh. The midwife is called. She presses her cold fingers against your stomach, mutters a prayer, then leaves. No one tells you what's wrong, just that you must not leave your bed for weeks. So you lie there still as death while life grows inside you like a tree twisting in stone. Outside your window, the seasons turn, leaves fall, snow follows, and you remain frozen. People visit, but they don't talk to you. They talk around you. About your health, about the child, about whether the priest will be called for a boy or a girl. One of the maids, younger than you, brings fresh herbs in a cloth pouch. It helps the baby turn, she says with a nervous smile. You clutch it like a charm, not because you believe it, but because belief is all you have. Some nights when no one is watching, you whisper secrets into the folds of your blanket. If you're a girl, run. If you're a boy, don't become him. And you feel the child move, soft, slow, wordless, but not unknowing. Chapter 4, The Cradle and the Cross. You wake to water, warm, sudden, soaking the mattress beneath you. At first, you think you've wet yourself, that your body, already no longer yours, has given up another piece of dignity. But when you pull back the sheet, there is no doubt. It's time. The maids rush in. The midwife follows. Your husband does not. He hasn't looked you in the eye in weeks. Perhaps longer. Perhaps ever. They strip the bedding, boil water, they bring cloths, knives, string, a crucifix. You are lifted, legs open, knees apart. Your body is a battlefield and you are not the soldier. They tell you to push. You scream instead, and for that, they say you are weak. You must do it quietly, one whispers, or you'll curse the child. You try. God, you try. You bite your hand. You dig your nails into the wood of the bed frame. You scream into the pillow, and still, it hurts in ways no saint ever warned you of. Your spine feels like it's splitting. Your hips stretch far past what bone should allow. Your skin tears. You feel fire between your legs and ice in your chest. The world tunnels into pain and prayer. The room spins. The midwife's face blurs. You hear voices, but not words. Bells, maybe. Or your grandmother's voice, whispering old names in a language your mother forbade. Then silence. Then the cry. Not yours, a baby's. They do not hand the child to you. Not yet. First they clean it, weigh it, inspect the shape of its skull, the color of its eyes, the presence of male parts. It is a boy. You are praised like a cow that gave strong milk. Strong hips, someone says. Good blood, another adds. You are allowed to hold him for a moment, just one. His skin is wrinkled and red, his fingers curled in fists. He smells like iron and milk and the earth before rain. He doesn't cry when you touch him. He only stares, unfocused, searching. You wonder if he sees you, or just light. And then he is gone, taken away by nurses, swaddled and placed in a cradle carved by your husband's grandfather. You bleed for hours after. They say this is normal. The blood pools between your legs, soaks the linens again. Your breasts leak and harden. Your muscles spasm. You shake uncontrollably. Still, no one speaks to you. They speak to each other about your child, about the birth, about the family's luck. Not once do they ask how you feel. You are emptied now, no longer glowing, just gray. The cradle is placed beside your bed, but you're not allowed to lift the child, not yet. You're too weak, they say. Too fragile. You might drop him. So you lie there, awake, while he cries beside you, unreachable. And when he finally sleeps, you stare at the ceiling, counting the cracks. 1, 2, 3. A spider crawls across the beam above your head. You envy its freedom. You envy its web. You envy that no one ever asks it to smile. Chapter 5. The saints cannot hear you. The night is heavy, not with silence, but with watching. You sleep under a single blanket, your husband's body beside you like a sack of flour, hot, unmoving, uninterested now that his part is done. Your thighs are still sore, but you've learned not to flinch. Movement wakes him, and waking him means you must endure again. You stare at the wooden ceiling, counting the knots in the beams, trying not to count the hours until he rolls over and grunts in your direction. This is what they told you to expect. This is a wife's duty, they said. You're lucky, they said, but luck should not feel like drowning. Every knock on the door, every creak of the floorboards outside reminds you the eyes of the town are always on you. If he does not look satisfied, if you do not look tired enough, questions will arise. Whispers will follow. And in a village this small, whispers rot faster than meat. So you pretend. You feign discomfort when you walk to church. You let your veil slip just enough to show a pale neck flushed red. You force yourself to smile when the baker's wife asks if he treats you well. You say yes, because the alternative is dangerous. The priest preaches from the pulpit about modesty, about the sanctity of marriage, about the obedience owed by wife to husband. He reads from parchment, but his eyes search yours. And when he says God sees all things, you wonder if God can see your bruises, or if he too averts his gaze. In the pew beside you, a girl shifts uncomfortably, a newlywed like you. Her hands tremble when she crosses herself. You both say amen with the same broken rhythm. The sermon ends. The people rise. Outside, the sky splits with thunder. It hasn't rained in days. You walk home, your husband silent beside you, but his fingers grip your wrist too tight. Behind closed doors, his silence is a scream. You speak only when spoken to. Even your footsteps are careful now. You've learned the house itself can betray you. A groaning floorboard can bring a fist to your temple. A misplaced spoon can crack ribs. But your mother said, be patient. Men have tempers. God made women to endure. Endure. That word sits inside you like spoiled milk. You dream of saints, of martyrs burned for their faith but never for their marriages. You wish for a visitation, a vision, a miracle, even a small one, a cracked ankle to keep him away for a week, a sudden illness to keep you in bed alone. But nothing comes. He comes, always, and when he does, you close your eyes and imagine you are a statue in the church, cold, chiseled, untouchable. You do not cry. You learned on your second night that tears only quicken him. So you wait, and you bleed, and you survive. You survive for now, because that's what women do here. Not live, not love, just endure. Outro. You are Margot, a name stitched into linen, a girl remade by blood, silence, and firelight. And your story isn't rare. It's just forgotten. But here, in the cursed archives, we remember. Subscribe for the next descent, where we uncover what it meant to be a male concubine in ancient Rome, and why some were worth more than generals.